He did it. Ryland did it. He did it. He did it. And you know how he did it? He did it. He used, and it harkens back to other people, and there's so many references, and it's so smart. Hello, and welcome back to the couch. We saved you a seat. My name is Luke, and today we're going over chapter 29 of Project Hail Mary. Look, we're at the end, but you know the deal. If you want to follow along, there's a link to Amazon for this book in the description below. Click that link, buy the book, follow along. There's 30 chapters. This is the final-ish chapter. There is another chapter, but this is a good chapter. This is a good chapter. It's pretty good. Let's get into it. Here we go. Ryland creates new atmospheres for the Taumoeba out of other materials, and he uses a CNC machine and a 3D printer. That was easy. Creating these was not a problem. Okay, the problem was Rocky's ship. Ryland had been watching Rocky's IR trail and from the thing every single day for a month. He checks it, right? He checks it again. It's gone. It's no longer there, right? So he gives himself 3 days. He's like, maybe Rocky had another mechanical error. Maybe there was some other issue. Maybe it was something other than that. He checks it again 3 days later. Still gone. Rocky can fix anything. But the ship has no IR trail. Ryland has to decide right now. He knows. Rocky had the same problem he did. And he has to decide right this minute. Is he going to turn around? Is he going to go back? Is he going to forfeit what would be the rest of his life in a hero's journey, sending the Beatles off and going and saving Rocky and only having 45 weeks of food left, right? And attaching himself to Rocky's ship. And how is he even going to find Rocky's ship? I mean, he can kind of guesstimate, but space is massive, right? How is he going to do it? He could be lost in deep space. Sometime later. It had been 6 weeks since Ryland last saw Rocky's IR trail. He went back to save Rocky. I love this part. Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. This is pretty cool. So Ryland can check. He knows. He did all the math for the navigation for Rocky to get back to Arid. So he knows just about where he is. Right? But he doesn't know exactly where he is. So he gets to the position with impending death looming. Because he knows this is going to kill him. Right? He's out of food. He gonna die. He gonna die from this. Alright? He gets to a spot where he thinks he needs to be. And he says, how am I going to find this ship? Right? And he starts to think like Rocky. What would Rocky do? Love that. All right. Then he does something that I think is super, super, super brilliant. Oh, the petroboscope is as specific in terms of detecting light frequency as you can possibly get for this specific IR trail that both ships put off. He can send the IR signal from the tail of the Hail Mary and wait for it to bounce off, turning donuts in space off of Rocky's ship, the Blip A, right? And you think, well, you know, you've all read the book, and if you haven't read the book, you'd think, well, if he thinks he's in the right about space, wouldn't the light just bounce super quick, and he wouldn't be able to spin down the drive and then turn on the petroboscope? We thought about this already. He thinks he's close enough, right? But it's like looking for a needle in the most giant haystack of all time. You know there's a needle there. You know you're kind of close, but you're not that close. So what he does, he spins these donuts, he shoots off the IR thing, and he scans with the petroboscope for a few minutes, right? He knows he's within a few light minutes, right? And it takes so many light minutes to bounce, so many light minutes to bounce back. So he knows, okay? And he does this a few times. Then he angles his ship 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, all the way till he's going to get to 90 degrees where he can cover the visible area of space. And he does this so many times that he's bored. Then it happens. It happens. At the 55th degree, it happens. He sees a reflection. He takes down all the math. And he goes and gets a stopwatch. And he does it again and times it. He turns his ship backward. He goes about, what does he say, 15 meters per second. Pretty slow for the Hail Mary. And he turns it on for 10 seconds. He wants to see how long it takes. And he measures out to take 28 seconds. He sends a signal, then 28 seconds, he gets it back. He is 14 light seconds of thrust of acceleration and 14 light seconds of deceleration away from Rocky. Turns out to be about 9.5 hours. Dude's getting giddy, right? He's even wondering, he was like, I am working so hard to prepare for my impending death. Like, because if he doesn't find him, he's just going to go home, right? If he doesn't find Rocky, he's not just going to sit out there and then plan, like, he knows exactly how much food he has. He knows, right? He still has that in his head. He's still scared of dying. He's still scared of dying in the middle of deep space from lack of food. Which is, ironically, the thing Strat was the most concerned about. That's why this chapter is so smart, because it harkens back to all that stuff. Look, we know that Rocky communicates via sound frequency and via vibration, using echolocation and other ways. Ryland did this with light echolocation. So smart. It's so smart. Anyway, thought that was super cool. So he gets giddy, right? He figures it takes him about 9.5 hours to go that length of distance at a specific speed. He gets within range. He sees the thing. He uses, this is so smart too. He gets close enough that he doesn't want to use the IR trail anymore. He gets to where he needs to go. So he uses the spin drives on the side of the ship and vectors the ship over and over and over just to see until it flickers again. And this time he can leave the petroscope on, right? It doesn't work when his massive IR spin drive is active, but when the vector spin drive, the little ones on the side are spinning, he can do it. You can see him. Pretty smart. So he finally sees the ship. He sees the reflection bounce off. He gets closer and closer and closer and closer, and he gets to 50 meters. Right? This entire time, Rocky could be dead. Right? All of this stuff. But he gets within 50 meters. So he gets in the Orlean, he gets in the EVA suit, he suits up, he tethers himself with the longest tether. 50 meters in space is real close. For us, I can throw a football 40 yards. 50 meters is what? 36 feet further than 40 yards? Nuts. That's a far distance for us. For space, it's less than a hair length. Wow. Anyway, so he gets into his EVA suit, and he tethers himself with the longest tether, 50 meters. They're 50 meters away. He jumps out, and he leaps towards Rocky's ship. Now, here's the thing. They're so far away from Tau Ceti that he can't really see the ship. He just sees it as this black canvas where it's blotting out the light from the stars. And so he floats and floats and floats and floats and floats, and then he hits the side. And bounces off. And he sees that he's got extra tether. And he sees an antenna from one of the rails that's on there that he tried to grab, but he didn't manage to do it. And he grabs it and ties a slip knot, throws it on the antenna, and somehow manages to wrangle it. And he grabs it and he pulls himself up to the thing and starts slamming on the thing. Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. He puts his face mask up against it so the vibrations from his face mask will go into the hole. Rocky, he hits his wrench on the side of the ship. Rocky, it's me, it's Ryland. I'm here. Turns his radio on. He hears a little static. Rocky, is that you? Ryland? Rocky's back. Rocky's back. And Rocky starts talking about all the problems that he's got. He's like, I know. Set up the tunnel. Just set up the tunnel. Let's have a conversation. Let's set up the tunnel. Ryland gets back on the Hail Mary. And he just sits there anxiously awaiting for the tunnel to set up. Right? Rocky's got no way to vector his own ship. So he's got to turn the Hail Mary a little bit to make sure that the tunnel can go and attach correctly. Either way, they make it work. Once he gets the tunnel set, he can hear the sound, the sound, right? The epoxy, that whatever they use that attached to the hole back in chapter 6 or 8 or whatever. And he's like, he throws on his suit, he runs out into the tunnel, he sprints out, and the first thing he notices is Rocky's 2 of his arms are hurt, and he checks on him. And what's so interesting is it's reflective of the same injury Ryland had earlier in the book. You know, there's so many parts of this chapter very specifically that very much harken back to other things in the book that they're not heavy-handed, right? It's little things. Food, the arm being hurt, Ryland using light echolocation and not sound echolocation, because light is such an important part of how Ryland can use instruments that Rocky can't, right? Where Rocky can use sound. All of that stuff, it all comes together in this one chapter. There's not one missing moment in this chapter. Even the moment that I think I forgot, where when he's trying to catch the ship and he sees that there's something leaving, he matches the velocity that Rocky's ship is going, and he sees it, and it's leaving the Tau Ceti orbit. And he's like, yeah, that's great news. Because anything else within this solar system that was strong enough to leave this solar system from that sun would have left billions of years ago. So it has to be Rocky's ship. It's not just some asteroid. That was a cool moment too. There was not one missing moment in this chapter. There's a few other chapters like this, but it's great that this one happens right now. Great. Fantastic. So they get the tunnel set up and they're excited and they start having a conversation about what's happening. And Rocky's like, oh, we'll send you home. Once you get me home, we'll send you home. And he's like, no, I sent the Beatles. I saved both worlds. I die here. And Rocky says, well, we'll figure it out. And Ryland's like, I don't think we will. And then Rocky has an idea. He said, well, you can ingest the Taumoeba, can't you? It's a living organism. It's got mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. I love when people say that. It reminds me of school so much, more than I think anything else that people say. The powerhouse of the cell. I think that's the one thing. That ends when my Algebra 2 teacher said you have to do this out of calculator because you won't have a calculator in your pocket for the rest of your life, and now we have calculators in our pockets for the rest of our lives. Those two things are really the two things that remind me of school the most. But Taumoeba, he can eat the Taumoeba. So that's where we are. They figure out that's going to be the case. They fist bump and they're on their way back to Arid. And that's the end of the chapter. So Ryland doesn't get to go home. Well, he doesn't get to go home in this chapter. Don't think he's going home in the next one. And I think this is the bleep bloop bleep end. This is the this is the end right here. He's gonna go live on Arid in some sort of environment, or he's gonna live on the ship while they live in their planet or something. I don't know. But he did the right thing. I mean, narratively, he did the right thing. Narratively, he did the right thing. He could have let Rocky like float back to Arid, I guess, because the ship's going at a particular speed, right? Like it would have gotten back. It just would have taken a lot longer. Or they may have sent another ship out to get him, but how are they going to detect his ship? The way Ryland did it was so thoughtful and so intentional and specific. Maybe they have some like deep space xenonite detection software. Maybe. But no, this is such a good chapter. I was grinning ear to ear from beginning to end. I even like that they didn't even hold, like so many creators would have held back they would have waited and held on to did he. They would have stretched that out in this chapter, right? Did he go back, or did he go to Earth? Did he go back, or did he go to Earth? And they just jumped to, it's been 6 weeks since Ryland made his decision. Right. At this point, too, 6 weeks. He only had so many more weeks of regular food left. At this point, I think he was down to slurry. If not, maybe he had 2 more meals. He was down to coma slurry. He was down to the aspirin, scene. The scene from it's like the scene from The Matrix, where he's like, ew. He's like, it's got everything you need, amino acids and proteins, and he's like, oh yeah, if you close your eyes, it tastes like runny eggs. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about if you know. This, yeah, good. This is a phenomenal chapter. What a way to end. I know it's not the end, but what a way to end. What a way to end. It is weird that he's gonna eat the Taumoeba, but they're such a foundational item that I'm sure the Iridians even could synthesize something. I mean, it's not gonna taste like a cheeseburger, but they do have all of Earth science they could possibly need inside those computers and laptops. So I'm sure that with the materials they have, they could engineer something that would at least taste like a pizza or an apple. I mean, he'll for sure get stuff like scurvy, right? Because didn't ship people when they're doing deep sea voyages, they'd get scurvy. I mean, isn't that a thing? And also, he's only got so much water, but I bet they can make water. The Iridian people seem pretty bright. Now, this is such a good chapter. I don't think I can add any more to it. It was action-packed. It was thoughtful. Ryland was at his number one best in this chapter, which is probably my favorite part. He wasn't perfect. He was his best. Yeah, that's what I'll say. But yeah, I believe that's it for me. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. And also go to Amazon, link in the description. Buy the book. If you don't want to buy the book, buy anything else using those links. I'll see a kickback, and we'll have a good day on it. But until next time, later, taters.